What's going on? It's your man Jose, aka the Dominican Dream, alongside,
The Maniac.
and we are the Boxing Roundtable, and we are also ready to talk boxing.
Boxing.
Benavidez, David Benavidez versus David Morrell, the long anticipated matchup between two superstars at 175 pounds. We waited for this fight, and seldomly, seldomly do fights live up to the expectations that are placed on them, to the hype, and this one did. Solid card, solid night of boxing, entertaining night of boxing. I really enjoyed it. I think anyone that paid for the pay-per-view got their money's worth. Great fights, very solid fights, and the most important fights. The Pitbull fight was a great fight. The Benavidez fight was a great fight. The Ramos fight, he did what he had to do. Fulton, some people, they may not have liked it, but he did what he had to do. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, man. Shout out to David Benavidez, man. Shout out to David Morrell for putting on spectacular performances, for giving it their all. There was nothing from either that I don't think they left anything to be desired, in my opinion. I think they both did what I think they both did their best. And congratulations to the winner, man, who was David Benavidez. We both picked him to win. We picked him to win by late stoppage. Or I don't know if you picked him by decision. I picked him to win by late stoppage. But nonetheless, he won. And as expected, because he had the experience. Look, I was in a room full of people that were supporting David Morrell. And they were saying, "Oh, only 11 fights, only 11 fights." And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I understand. He did very good against Benavidez with 11 fights. But what Benavidez has on David Morrell as far as experience goes, David Morrell has on him as far as physically goes. This dude is a solid 175 pounds. David Morrell is not a solid. David Benavidez, I'm sorry, is not a solid anything. He weighed 300 something pounds as a kid. The guy is not solid, and we mentioned it here before, at 175 pounds. He's not a true light heavyweight. He's there because he was a fat kid, and that's how much. And that's how much he can weigh now. That's how much he can get down to, right? 175, 168. But what he had on Morrell in experience, Morrell's a brick wall, bro. You see his bag, this dude was full, and Dave still outlanded him by like 50 or 70 something punches, man. He still fought his fight. He didn't deviate from who he is, from his game plan. I think he put on a great performance, and I think he showed the world once again why he's avoided and why Canelo, rightfully so, wants no part of him. No part of him. And after the night, we're definitely not gonna see that fight. Absolutely not. I think if the ink wasn't, I think if the Crawford Canelo contract wasn't signed yet, tonight it got signed. Canelo saw that shit and he said, "Fuck this. I'm good. I don't need this kind of man in my life. I'm good." I think David Morrell, I think he fought a great fight, man. I think he stood his ground. Maybe he could have boxed a little more and maybe smothered Benavidez on the inside, right? Like I was saying, grab, punch and hold. But he chose not to do that. He chose to fight like a man. He chose to use his power, and that's very, very respectable. And I think it made for a great fight. There were a few clinches, a few dirty tactics, if any, from either man. Clean fight, clean blows, a battle of will, skill, experience, heart. And at the end of the day, the more experienced fighter and the guy with that will that you really can't measure. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, David Benavidez at 175 is not fighting based on physical gifts. He's fighting based on will, experience, and balls. Because at 175, he doesn't have an advantage on anybody. Neither did he have an advantage on David Morrell, save the experience. Other than that, Even in the one-punch power department, David Morrell had the edge. But David Benavidez truly is a monster. He's a different kind of monster. And I was really happy watching this fight. Great fight, very entertaining. Pitbull Cruz, worthy mention of the night, like you said to me in the message, fight of the year so far. Pitbull Cruz, I hear some people criticizing him. I hear some people, saying that he's not this, he's not that. He's a very, very exciting fighter, and he's far, far from being an easy opponent from anybody. Not only that, I'll go as far as saying that one of the only flaws that Pitbull has is that from round one, from the gate to the end of the fight, he fights on 100. And you can't do that. You got to measure yourself. You got to pace yourself. You can't throw 100% on every shot, and he puts 100% on every shot. But I know if you watch the fight, you saw him using the jab. You saw him using head movement. You saw him going to the body. You saw him put on a complete offensive arsenal against a guy who we didn't know. But boy, he fought a great fight. He was there. He was strong. He was big, a true 140-pounder. Balls, had power himself, and had a chin as well. I think also Pitbull throws his punches. His punches look great on screen. The reaction that the other fighter has to his punches, how he knocks them back. But I think he takes a little off his punches because he throws them a little wide. So he takes some of the momentum off his punches instead of throwing more straight, more compact shots, which would hurt his opponents. Because at 140, we're seeing, and he never has been a one-punch knockout artist, but at 140, he definitely isn't a one-punch knockout artist. Nonetheless, honestly, bro, from what I saw tonight, it's really hard to hurt Pitbull and to drop him. And this guy was able to, wobble him a little bit, but he didn't drop him. So had that been, let's say, Ryan Garcia, honestly, I like Ryan, but I know they wouldn't have fought at 140. But if it was at 140, Sean, I don't know how Ryan would have withstood that pace. I don't know how Ryan would have withstood that volume. I know Ryan has an excellent left hook, but let's say he can't hurt Pitbull. What does he do? I don't want to hear that Pitbull. Everybody has their opinion. In my opinion, I think Pitbull is a very, very solid fighter. Perhaps not a great fighter, but a guy that can beat anybody on any given night. And one thing that no one can deny, he's must-see TV. If I'm Pitbull, if I'm managing him, if I'm him, I'm like, yo, listen, I don't leave my house for less than 1.5 mil. Any fight that I'm the undercard fight for, 70% of the people are here to see me also. Maybe 60-50 are here to see me exclusively. I'm not getting out of my house for less than 1.5. Shout out to Pitbull and let him go for the biggest names and the best fights. And again, you heard the crowd. You saw the crowd. The crowd was there to see Benavidez and Pitbull Cruz. So shout out to Pitbull because we criticize the fighters that are not exciting, that are boring, and we go in on them. So you know what? Let's celebrate the fighters that are exciting and give us fights that are worth our money, man, that are entertaining. Punches landed, punches thrown. A battle of attrition. And with skill. It's not like, these guys are, you want to see a fighter with no skill? Watch the Figueroa fight with Fulton. That's a fighter with no skill. Figueroa guys, you say Cambosos is a bum? Figueroa got zero skill. He's a pure will fighter. Lost my money fucking with him. He's a pure will. He got no skill. I don't care what you argue with me. He got no skill. And he got cooked. He served up the W to Stephen Fulton. Shout out to Stephen Fulton, man. Smaller guy at 126 pounds. Came in there. Everybody thought he was done. I thought he was probably done. Came in there and cooked. Got busy. Oh, it was kind of boring. Okay, we know Fulton is not a puncher. We know he's not a puncher. And he still doesn't run from his opponents. He still doesn't pull Shakur Stevenson's. He stays in the pocket. He fights you. He takes a punch. Shout out to Stephen Fulton, man. for winning that fight and winning it clean. Jesus Ramos Jr. Look, he did what he had to do against a guy that was a plus 800 uh, 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 underdog. Um, we basically called it here that Banana really had no chance, and that was the case. That's what we saw. He came forward. He looked good as far as his attitude and psychologically, coming forward, but he wasn't throwing any punches. He was coming forward and eating punches. And Jesus Ramos was putting his punches together. I don't think he's a world beater. I don't think he's, anything great. I like what he did. He did what he had to do, but I think at 154 pounds with how deep that division is and all those sharks, in my opinion, he's fooled. He said 160 was a little tough for him. This guy was bigger. He's going back to 54. Maybe he could look a little better at 54. Maybe this fight will help him, to tune up a little bit. But honestly, bro, at 154 pounds, he's fooled. I can't see any of the top fighters him beating any of them. I can see him competing maybe 4 or 5 rounds, but after that, those guys are too strong, too skilled. They're just on a different level, man. 154 right now is dangerous. Anyway, that's my take on the card. Tell us your thoughts, man. What did you think?
Yeah, man. So I'll just go in the same order you did. Let's start with the main event. I mean, again, what a fight, man. These two guys, they came in and they brought it. They brought it. For me, Morrell, he played he played too much hero in this fight, and it cost him. You know, again, it's about being smart. It's not about proving anything. Boxing is a Queensberry rules: hit and not get hit. He wanted to stand there and wanted to see whether he was a monster or not. He found out you don't do that. You got the better. You got you're more athletic. You got more twitch. You can move better than Benavidez. And unfortunately, he didn't do that. He wanted to sit there and prove a point. Now, by it, he did drop Benavidez. I mean, it was more of a slip off balance kind of thing. And it wasn't, he was far, far from hurt from that knockdown, but still a knockdown nonetheless. And there was one round he hit Benavidez with a straight right, and it like buckled his knee a little bit. So, Morrell, well,
Hold that
remember,
thought. Hold that thought, Sean. Gerald Suero. First time I see him comment, he says, "What a scam." Gerald, tell us what you're referring to, man. As far as that goes, I didn't see any scam anywhere, in this card. So let us
yeah.
know what.
So
Go ahead, Sean.
so um again, Morrell showed today, man, that he's definitely a fighter that I can't wait to see again, because he's good, man, and he's tough. He's tough as nails. And 175 really showed that Benavidez doesn't have that same pop, or he doesn't have that weight advantage over his opponents at 168. Because if this was at 168 and Morrell was sustaining that same punishment, he would have been stopped early in the fight. But now they're in the bigger weight class, and you see it's just not the same. But his relentless, he's still relentless. He let his hands go. He's smart. His punches, like I said, the jab. The guy's just not, he don't come forward and apply pressure. He does it strategically. So, Benavidez again shows that he got skill too, man. Yes, he's a monster, but he's a monster with skill, not just a monster that comes forward and is going to overwhelm you. And also, they were both tired in this fight. You can see, I'm looking at them. Benavidez is breathing through his mouth, and so was Morrell. But and they got it together. They kept on, and you can see as there was some rounds in the middle of the fight where they kind of took off. They took. They wasn't really doing much. Even my wife feel like, yo, what's up, man? They looked tired, and they were, but nonetheless, the fight was fought at a high magnitude, and that's what's gonna happen at a high level on top of that. So, Benavidez shows again that, look, you see, Benavidez didn't see, this is the difference, man. This is why you got to give Benavidez his credit. Look at Berlanga. After Pacheco beat Steven Nelson, I'm gonna give this guy his biggest payday. He's only getting paid. Shut the fuck up. Who the fuck you be? Who the fuck are you? You're nobody. You think Belanga fight a Morrell? Hell no. How much he get paid? That's the fucking type of shit he's on. That's the shit that pissed me off. No, Benavidez didn't have to fight no Morrell, but you know what he did? He's a fireman. He don't duck smoke. Where the smoke is where he's at.
Talk
So
about
shout to Benavidez, man.
Talk
Shout to
about
Benavidez for ducking nobody, willing to get in there with anybody. And Morrell too, man. He showed, listen, I'm no chump. I could compete with the best of them with only 11 fights, which today was his 12th fight. But again, I just felt if Morrell would have just moved a little more and stay on the outside, I think he would have had a little more success. Not saying he wins the fight, but to me, the fight would have been a little closer. And the scorecards were a little too wide for my liking. But the right man won the fight. That's not even up for debate. So, shout to them there. The co-main event. Listen, man, I'm going to be honest. I was dozing off. Like, I missed like 2 rounds. But shout to Cool Boy. He was cooking, man. He was on the outside using his jab. Figueroa wasn't able to do nothing. He couldn't set up no offense. He was just like rushing in and throwing overhand rights. And, from time to time, he would catch Cool Boy, but nothing effective, nothing consistent. He wasn't able to have consistent offense in this fight. And Cool Boy was cool. I know it's Scooter, but I like to call him Cool Boy. And he stood on the outside and shout to Bozy. They had a hell of a game plan. It was executed to his highest level. And Fulton showed me, because I was one of them, that no, I still got it. And man, that was a hell of a performance. And he won that belt, no problem. He has the belt. Shout to him. Fulton and getting that belt, man. And now he's the WBC champion, 2 division world champ. Shout to him. And then, of course, you got the Pitbull Fierro fight. Look, man, I'm going to tell you this. What a fight by both fighters. Early on, it looked like it was going to be an early night for Fierro. But again,
for Pitbull,
no, for Fierro, Pitbull was cooking them early. Then he started.
Okay, my bad. I mean, I thought you meant like that. I'm sorry.
No. Then he started coming on, and you start to see like Pitbull was like, yo, bro, I've never fought anyone that was able to withstand this pressure, who's willing to fight my fight and withstand this pressure and these amount of punches. Now, I know earlier you said head movement. I got to disagree. I didn't see no head movement from Pitbull. He was getting hit relatively too easy for my liking. Honestly, he was coming in straight. Again, he is tough. And he, like you said, he does put too much on his punches. He was slipping, almost falling. He was wide. And it was like, yo, bro, just relax. But regardless, yes, Pitbull is must-see TV. That is no doubt about it. Whenever he fights, you're going to be in front of your TV and tune in to make sure. Again, we know his kryptonite. Fighters that can move, he doesn't look so well against them, but he needs to break that. If I'm his team, give me a boxer, someone that can move, so we could prove that we could beat those type of fighters. Until then, people are gonna point to that. That's what's gonna make him from good to great. You got to be all styles to be great. And then the opener, Jesus Ramos. I mean, it's not really much to talk about. We spoke about it. He did what he had to do. Banana was tough, He came forward. He showed toughness. But I'm really upset. I'm really upset with Bob Santos, man, because Santos, he should have stopped this fight at least 2 rounds earlier. And he out there lying to Banana. I hate cornermen that do that. Don't tell your fighter something. You got to be honest. Ralphie, you say, listen, I'm going to give you one more round. Ralphie, I'm giving you one more round, brother. You getting cooked out there. Your safety comes first. Fuck the money. You don't want to pay me? Don't pay me. But one thing you can't say is that I wasn't looking out for your safety. And these trainers don't do that. A fight is different. When the doctor tells them they're going to say, no, I'm going to fight. That's cool. I understand that. That's why you have a referee. That's why you have a corner man to protect you from yourself. Because a fighter has a warrior mentality, and the warrior mentality is I fight till I die. And that's that. But he just dominated him. That was at 160. He did say 154, 160 is not the place for him. He'll fight. He's gonna campaign at 54. And I think Dream said earlier that Ramos is full at 54. And I do agree. He's absolutely full at 54. He'll be a tough fight for somebody, but I don't see him beating no big names. Like if you put Jesus Ramos in there with Bakram, oh my God, man, oh man, that'd be night for him. But
That's not even
definitely good
not
call.
right.
Good call. A lot of action today. And it was if you paid for it, you got your money's worth.
Look, Philly to Detroit boxing, Geo in the house. Philly shit, we the best fighters in the world, and my guy stood up the whole time. Shout out to Cool Boy, now Scooter. Uh, Easy paid, that's what we do. This is what we do. Pitbull got hit every time his opponent threw a punch. Both of them did. Well, they were fighting an offensive fight. Offensive fight gave us a great show. So, listen, I'd rather watch that any day than something like Shakur Stevenson. I thought Pitbull lost. How y'all scored? No, I don't think Pitbull lost at all. I think he won and won
It
clearly.
was close. It was
It was
close because again, those scorecards were kind of wide too. I'm like, yo, hold
Yeah,
on. Fierro,
it was tight.
there was a
yeah.
lot of close rounds.
I didn't hear the scorecards, but in my opinion, just like you said about Benavidez, Morrell, they might have been wide, but the right man won, and I think the right
Yeah,
man
yeah,
won.
yeah, yeah. I think no, I think to me, Pitbull won the fight. I'm not saying he didn't, but it was. I think the Pitbull Fierro fight for me was closer than the Benavidez Morrell fight.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I agree. It was I agree. It was at least 15, 10 to 15% closer. Um, any other comments, Sean? And we've been cooking,
no,
man.
no, no. Let
Ralph,
Ralphie get in the kitchen.
Ralphie, look, man. I spoke on Benavidez, Morel. Shout out to Benavidez. I spoke on Fulton. Um, uh, uh, Figueroa, and I mentioned how much of a non-boxer Figueroa is, and people were asking me, yo, why did you bet on this dude? And this guy, and people in the shop like, yo, this guy ain't no boxer. What the fuck is he? And I'm like, yo, you right. That was pitiful. I mentioned, of course, Pitbull giving us the fight of the year so far, and him having, you know, people call him a one-trick pony. He has more than one trick. He ain't Pernell Whitaker, but he has more than one trick. Any fighter that throws a jab and goes to the body and mixes the shots up with body shots and shots up to the top, body, head, mixes it up and does use a jab, nah, he's not a one trick pony. And of course, you have the Jesus Ramos versus Banana, which was very predictable. That's that. So Jesus Ramos didn't look like a world beater. He fought a guy that was done. And, he did good. He did what he had to do. But at 154, I do think he's fooled. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the card, and what are your thoughts about what we said, and also about your own thoughts that you formulated watching this whole card?
Yeah, so I'll start with the Jesus Ramos fight, and Jason Rosario.
Real quick. I'm sorry. People, they watching this video. They're looking at the title. You know how the internet is. People have a short attention span. Give them the heat first. Give them the
Cool.
heat.
Well,
Benavidez.
number one, Benavides and Morel. Honestly speaking, I watched it as a fan. There was very very high tension because what we've been marketed or has been promoted as is like it's gonna be fireworks, and Morel could punch. So obviously you're expecting that over, and even the cameras when they're looking over and they shoot Morel pre-fight when he's in the backstage. He looks very relaxed, very calm, and then you look at Benavides. I just didn't. I texted Dream and I was like, "Yo, I just don't like his face. He looks nervous. Like maybe the event is getting to him. Maybe there's a lot of pressure. Hopefully, once the fight starts, that he's gonna kind of get it started." And that's exactly what happened. I mean, as soon as he felt that first punch, it was goal time, man. Definitely didn't disappoint. Um, the knockdown, if you look at it again, is a push. I mean, I hopefully I don't get crucified. I watched it a few times. It looks like he was off balance. It didn't look like he got hit with a punch, and he was kind of like it
That's
was
what
just
like.
so,
That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked
yeah,
like to me.
that he was off balance. I did not like the point taken away though. I feel like normally in those instances you get a warning for that. Like, yeah, like no one wants to kind of see that foul play like that, but typically, you want to see a warning ahead of time. However, when it comes to the fight, it was apparent that Benavidez just had more experience, had a lot of nuances. His defense is very underrated. You can see how he kind of steps back. He reacts to the punches. This kid was sharp today, man, especially with this guy that's very talented as Morrell. So we kept hearing it for a while, like, hey, listen, like this is the guy that's gonna throw the myth of the monster. Like, you can kind of look at other wrinkles that Benavidez has within his game, that he's just not a guy that's gonna dominate you and overweight you because he's a big guy. Like, he has legitimate skills.
Absolutely.
He knows how to control the distance in between. He hurts the body. He's he's sneaky into pretty much, if you come in with the high guard, he knows how to pull you down to kind of throw away those hooks, come on those short uppercuts. Like, the guy has some really good skill, including defensively. Like, if you guys don't notice, he does that George Foreman kind of like Ken Norton forearm, deflects a lot of the punches. A lot of the
Very
punches
good
that Morrell,
observation.
yeah, a
Very
lot of
good.
the punches that Morrell was throwing, he was deflecting it, and just a lot of times people that don't really know much about boxing, they just kind of see the activity and they don't really know. But number one, key observation, just like Maniac said, I don't know if it's the 175 division. I don't think that the power is not there. Um I After the Vostok fight, I said that I was gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he said his hands were hurt. I honestly, after watching this fight, he caught Morrell clean several times. At 168, it would have knocked down most of those fighters. I just don't think he has the power to carry over to gain the respect out of Bevo or Better BF. So to me, I mean, unfortunately, he's very good, very talented, but it's gonna take a lot more of an effort to get those two guys out there. But aside from that, it was a great matchup. Like, all the way, just like Maniac was saying that they were tired going into the later end of the rounds. What a lot of people don't understand, if you've never been in the ring, is not a conditioning issue. Is more of a mental pressure. A lot of the times, the fight gets so intense, and you're so hyper focused and not getting hit, because it's not only throwing punches; it's just mentally focused for you not to get hit and being within that distance, that you just get mentally exhausted. So when you go into those championship rounds, man, you're just done. Um, Outside of that, we just gotta see what happens now and how things develops on February 22nd between Bebo and Better BF. Hopefully, Better BF wins the rematch, and then we can go straight into that fight. Otherwise, we may see a trilogy, or we may see Turkey offer Bebo to Canelo. So we don't really know. Um,
Ralph,
the
Ralph,
What's up?
speaking about that infamous name that you just mentioned, if you know, in your opinion, Canelo saw this fight tonight, of course. Maybe he's gonna
Eddie Reynoso was there. Eddie
wait,
Reynoso was there.
maybe he can bullshit and say that he was, playing some late night golf or something like that. Whatever. If that's even a thing. Looking at this fight and the performance from both Davids, what do you think Canelo's thoughts were watching this fight? And how much of a chance of Canelo versus Benavidez happening do you think exists now?
No shot. No shot. You have to understand that putting Morrell in there is a guy that was just as big, could punch, had the Cuban boxing amateur pedigree that you can see they could move around. Um, I don't see that fight happening. Canelo is just too small. He'll get overwhelmed by Benavidez's pressure, and especially going up to 175 because I don't see Benavidez coming down one to 168. I just if if he did, I would call him stupid because he just looked like pre-fight on those pre-weigh-in. He just looked like he was sucked in.
Yeah, that,
Maybe he went up too much in weight, but I don't see him going down to 168. I don't see. I just don't. I think that fight is done. The only way that it happens if is Benavidez ends up beating the winner of Better Be a Bebo, and then you get undisputed versus undisputed, and then you make a mega event. That's the only way. Which it's very very far gone.
all right. So, what are your thoughts on the Pitbull fight? Pitbull for performance, his future, and
I think did I text you? I told you like, yo, this is Rocky Four. Like none of these dudes is ducking. This is a rock'em sock'em fight. No defense, just haymakers all over the place. I'll tell you one thing. Pitbull did show me a few things that I wasn't expecting because he had not been jabbing for a while, and he's been jabbing more, especially throwing the right cross, which before we just hook, hook, hook. Like he's showing a little bit more of maturity when it comes. I don't know, maybe his trainers is putting him and letting him know, like, listen, you got to show all their tools. Um, I think the right trainer for him probably will be a Robert Garcia because he
have
tends to have those pressure fighters that actually move forward and know how to cut the ring and know how to set up and use those tools strategically for the benefit of the fighter. So I thought it was a very very close fight. Fight of the year, yeah, it was exciting. A lot of like
oh yeah,
if you're casual and you don't know much about boxing, this was a good entrance fight for you to kind of like see the event and say like shit, like yo, this is exciting. Like these guys are about to like rip their heads off. But yeah, I thought it was close. I don't know if it was like Pitbull by a wide margin. I thought maybe by one round. One round or maybe a tie. That's how I had it. In terms of Jesus Ramos and Jason Rosario, um, Jason he's shot, man. I'm sorry. He has to kind of call it quits. He has to hang it up, unfortunately. He seemed like he was very excited to get the opportunity, but I think it's time for him to call it quits. And when it comes to Jesus Ramos, just like you said, maybe make a matchup him and I would like to see him versus a Xander Zayas, man. That would be kind of exciting. You never know, Mexico versus Puerto Rico and have a really nice matchup. The
Great
only
fight.
issue that yeah, the only issue
Yes.
that comes there is that cross promotional problem in there. But let's
Correct.
see. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're right, if it's a fight, if there was a fight to make for Xander after his fight on February 14th, I think that'd be a great fight. I
Mhm.
agree. Ralph, that's a good listen. If Xander can't beat a Jesus Ramos, then he's not gonna be nothing. And
Yeah.
when I mean, let me not when I say nothing, he's not gonna be a superstar, is what I'm saying. If he can't beat a
Yeah, I
Jesus
think
Ramos.
I think Xander has he has that it. I mean, I just think that he's a like I've mentioned this before. I think Top Rank is very good at kind of have that conveyor belt type of machinery business. When it comes to Top Rank, they're not that good in creating mega stars, and for him to kind of get the opportunity, you need to match him against someone else at 154. The guy that would probably kind of bang up is a Virgil Ortiz matchup with Xander, or a Fandora fight, and seeing pretty much how whoever sparks out of there can be ends up being a star. But lastly, I mean the it's funny because prior to the Cool Boy Steph fight and Figueroa, I legitly said like I think I'm about to walk away and just miss this fight because something is giving me kind of like like a feeling that this is not gonna be that good of a fight. And the first thing I said after like 3 4 rounds was like, this is why you don't wait 4 years to make a rematch happen. The first fight happened in 2021.
bro.
Four years ago.
We both picked Maniac and I, and
Yeah,
along.
so did I. So did I.
Oh, you picked Figueroa as well.
Yeah, I picked Figueroa as well. But I think more importantly than that is the fact that Figueroa has been highly inactive. And because the PBC has those issues right now where they're not getting those fights, they can't give those fighters dates. And now they're being shelved. So unfortunately, like they're put in a position when you're inactive. Now you look rusty when you get in there. Like he looked like he was just like you said, Dream. He didn't look like a boxer. Like I was like, man, you're smothering your punches. You just want to go in there and just fighting within a distance. When originally the game plan that you had told us was that you needed to be pretty much on the outside and control that distance and not be too close. So unfortunately, that was a co-main. It didn't live up to the expectations of what the fans were expecting. But I'm glad that we had that Pitbull Fierro matchup.
That parentheses, real quick. Why the fuck was that the Coleman?
They sold us on the first fight, that 2021 matchup, because it was such a great matchup that they thought that this was gonna be it.
Yeah, but why would you put the Pitbull is probably one of the top after Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, but no one knows
But
Fierro.
yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. After Canelo Alvarez, he has to be the top Mexican ticket seller. So
Yep.
I don't know why you would put the Pitbull fight before a Fulton Figueroa fight. Fulton Figueroa is doesn't have one punch power, and Fulton doesn't have power at all. He's a pure boxer. So yeah, I don't know, man. But this
Yeah,
those kind of
bro. When I
maybe
went to it,
the one the Pitbull fight outshining the David Benavidez fight. I don't know.
bro, when I went to LA, and they would show Pitbull like on the jumbotron, or like that fight kind of felt like the main fight of the night. Like that, this guy attracts the fans because he has such a fan friendly style that people just want to watch it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I am. I
told the Maniac if I'm him, I'm telling I told my promoters, yo, if it ain't 1.5 mil or better, I'm not walking. I'm not coming outside my house, bro. Yeah, bro. Timothy Bradley, who many people didn't like. I love Timothy
Mhm.
Bradley. Sean did as well because we follow his career, we know his trajectory, we know the work that he put in, and we know how he would come prepared to fights. And in his contract, his minimum, Timothy Bradley, his minimum in after he fought Provatnikov and fought Paget, his minimum he did a contract with Top Rank, and his minimum was 1.5.
Wow.
And we're talking about over 10 years ago. So if that's Timothy Bradley that got that
Yeah.
deal, Pitbull could get a deal like
But
that as
that
well.
but he was dealing with Top Rank, and maybe the PBC again, like Ralphie said, right now they're put in a corner, right? They don't have dates for these guys. It's true.
Yeah.
And that's been for years already. Years. A lot of their fighters are inactive, and it's hard to build stars like that. And it looks like Amazon is not gonna resign with these guys, and they might have to go to the zone. So, we'll see, man.
They
I
got coming.
hope. Yeah, I hope.
Yeah.
Because just put everybody under one umbrella, Dreaming Ralphie. And guess what? We'll be one big family, and
Absolutely.
everybody, let's just fight. It's a business. Let's fight. And listen, boxing is not on no major networks as we speak. That's the first time in I don't know how many years. I get it. ESPN is a major network. But Top Rank, even if they re-sign with them, it's probably not. It's probably going to be to the end of this year, and then that's it. Because ESPN don't really care about boxing. They don't need boxing. They regular sports do it enough. So if Turkey if Turkey wasn't involved in boxing right now, bro, we'd be in a very, very bad place.
Yeah.
Very bad place
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Turkey. Because we
Yeah,
would
man.
not be getting February 22nd, which is probably one of the hands down top 5 cards all time. All
We
time. We're not talking
we
about this generation.
we
We're
will
talking
still
about all time.
we will still be getting Mauricio Suleiman saying we can't make that matchup because of Russia and Ukraine
Russia,
issue.
fucking
That
idiot.
that
Listen,
piece
that
of
shit pisses me off.
yeah
You're gonna
that's
fucking
a
involve
that
politics into
yeah
sports, you fucking moron. This shit got
yeah
especially
nothing to do with it.
especially when you're dealing with an individual. It's only one
yeah
guy,
Right.
man. What the
yeah.
fuck does
Correct.
what the fuck does Dmitry Bivol, the ethnic Kirk dude from Kyrgyzstan, who whatever they were former Soviet Union and Russia claims him. What the fuck does he have to do with Putin's plans to uh,
In
But
reality was that there wasn't enough money on the table to make that happen. That's what was preventing everything from going down. But I'm gonna tell you this because the rumor that's been swirling around is that the PVC has been trying to work things out with ProBox in order to get their fighters some some burn. I think was it Lubin that just was it who was it that just
no.
won who was it that was just won the purse bid?
For which fight?
It was like it was one of the PVC fighters is gonna fight on Pro Box.
There's
I
one.
think
There's a card next Saturday, but there's no PBC fighters.
no,
At
not
least not headlining.
no, not next Saturday. I have to look at it, but I
Yeah,
think
look it
that
up.
yeah,
uh,
they're working behind the scenes right now with ProBox. They just not being out too publicly with that, and they're not too public on that.
yeah, I
Let me
mean, I don't.
ask you guys. I want to ask you guys a question. Now that we know Benavidez won his fight, obviously we know who his next opponent is going to be. What chances do you give Benavidez in beating Better Beef and Bevo? Who, which opponent he has a higher chance of beating?
All right, look, I'm trying to only take this video to like 45 minutes. We
Yeah, yeah,
got to the nitty gritty and we addressed everything quickly, and that's a good thing for the viewers. I don't want to make the video too long. Chances for Benavidez against Better Biev or Bivol. Look, this is the thing. Again, Better Biev, unfortunately, he's getting his biggest spotlight too late in his. He's at the tail end of his career. He's 40 years old. He's had multiple injuries, multiple layoffs due to injuries. He's not the same fighter anymore. I thought Bivol won the fight. Although I was rooting for Better Biev. I thought Bivol won the fight. That being said, um, look, I think that it'll be a solid fight. I think it will be a great fight, Benavidez versus Better Biev. Unfortunately for Benavidez, I think that at 175 pounds, Bivol and Beterbiev are solid 175 pounders, true physically, and that's the disadvantage that David Benavidez has. I've told you many times. I know sometimes physique, many times it doesn't matter. In his case, it does, but he just doesn't carry the strength. He doesn't have the physique to put up with these guys or to at least to do what he was doing to them at 168. He can still win. He can still win, but he wasn't doing it to them. He's not doing things to people at 170. And remember, mind you, Morrell, that's only his second fight at 175. So imagine these guys they've been fighting for years at 175. I favor Bivol over Beterbiev over Benavidez. I'm sorry, so many B's. Beterbiev, Bivol, Benavidez. I favor Bivol over Benavidez, but I think due to Beterbiev's age and the fact that he's now having a rematch, one of his toughest fights against Bivol, I think that I would favor Benavidez over Beterbiev. But I think it would still be a tough fight, and it would be a more exciting fight
Yeah,
than than Benavidez versus Bivol, because Bivol, he's not gonna be in the kitchen cooking with Benavidez. That's just something that you're not supposed to do. And Bivol can't withstand that. He's not gonna be able to, but he can box him, and he's good at that, and he can maintain that kind of discipline with that amateur background. So I would favor Bivol over Benavidez, but I would favor Benavidez at this stage over Beterbiev. Prime Beterbiev, nah, he smokes Benavidez, bro. Yeah, smokes fit mid rounds. Fight is over. Too much power.
I I think
Wait,
he's gonna. I think Benavides is gonna need a couple of those memo milkshakes in order
look,
to.
look, look, look. Weight, size, Size matters. You know, that's why we here on the round table, we're not big on, we don't really condone, and we don't give a fuck about Terrence Crawford fighting Canelo Alvarez because weight matters, size matters. Size matters so much
I,
that
I,
Canelo Alvarez has been ducking a guy in his own weight class because the only thing he's gonna bring to the table is 25 more pounds. Okay, so he's bigger. I understand that. I understand that. So if Canelo doesn't want to fight Benavidez because it's too big for him, then why the fuck are we going to have to sit through Canelo versus Terrence Crawford? You know, size matters. You know, keep watching boxing, guys, and that's it. But that's what I think about that. Ralph, what do you think?
nah, that's funny. It's funny thinking about it out loud and just saying it out loud that Canelo Crawford is actually gonna happen because it's such an outrageous fight.
Hello, Ralphie. He just froze.
Or
Yeah,
Ralph Fro?
he froze. He froze. Look. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all right, man. So we'll wrap it up.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ralphie's just he had just had some technical difficulties. I guess on the next episode, man, we'll get him to finish off that statement. But yeah, I agree. You're right. I think more of is a 50-50 Better Beef Benavidez in this stage. Let's also see how Better Beef looks against Beef on the rematch. That's gonna tell me a lot, But yes, I think at this stage Benavidez will have a good shot to outwork him, right? To outwork Better Beef because he won't stop him, but I think to outwork him. And he's limited with the knee and the footwork and the youth, that all plays a factor, right? We said that. And plus, Benavidez is just not no regular ass fighter, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that dude is like that. So, yeah. And yeah, I
I think
think Bevo will outbox him, man. And he's big too. So,
yeah,
he could probably hurt Benavidez if he wants, like if he tried. Like if
yeah,
Bevo was to fight Benavidez like Morrell did, he'll definitely drop him. I don't know about stopping him, but he'll definitely drop him.
yeah. I mean, I agree
But
with some of the things that Ralph said. I think that Benavidez showed tonight that he's far more skilled than many people thought. You
yeah,
got to
no, I knew that.
get
I
in
even
the
said in the Boo Boo fight, in the Boo Boo, even though I did pick Boo Boo, but I remember you even, did the short where I say, yo, bro, you mentioned it many times, we know, right? Well, what's the most important punch in boxing? And a
jab.
lot of fighters don't tend to use that. And that's a skill to use the jab. You know what I'm saying? And he does it. And not only he uses it, is that he uses it very well and is
Yeah.
very effective when he uses it. And it sets up everything else for him. What
The
a
key.
jab is supposed to do.
That's the key. It opens everything up. And something else that I noticed that I hadn't seen him do not this much is that he's a flat-footed fighter, right, Sean? But what was he doing when Morrell was throwing punches? He was jumping back.
Yeah.
He was pulling the Shakur Stevenson on the motherfucker. He was jumping back. He was showing, yo, I'm fleet of foot too. I'm not like I don't got crazy footwork, but I ain't fucking Canelo Alvarez. I'm not, Cinder Black Joe. You know what I'm saying? This dude was like, he was jumping, moving back. And of course, using his arms, using that. And he's just a small fighter, man, anticipating the shots, leaning back, countering, you know, and he was throwing this triple G type shot, man. You saw that he was going like that with the knuckle, like finding that open spot in Morrell's offense like this. It's kind of hard sometimes to throw straight punch. So he was just throwing that 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 knuckle punch, man. But
Yeah.
working, man, and fantastic job by Benavidez, man. He's just a fighter that and yo, mind you, bro, he got hurt, bro. He got hurt. I forgot what round it was when Morrell
He hit
came
a
in.
right. He hit him with a
Yeah,
right and he
yeah,
buckled. His knees buckled.
yeah, but it's just Sean. It's his will. It's his psychological mind. It's his mindset, bro. Yo, you got this dude. That That's why we in everything you do, the mind is the most powerful thing a human being has. Boy, and that
Yeah,
that mentality, like, no, I'm not going down, bro. His body wanted to say, yo, this chill for a little bit. His mind was like, nah, that was cool, but nah, I'm gonna keep going forward. And shout out to Morrell as well, because he took a lot of punishment, and he's a Cuban, and they're kind of known for kind of taking that door, that exit out. But he didn't, man. He held in there, and I shout out to him. I think his physique
yeah,
helped a lot because that size matters. Again, he's a big, strong dude.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
he has nothing. He has nothing to be ashamed of. Team Morrell have nothing to be ashamed of. They could walk out that ring with their head high. The better man won. That's all it was. The better fighter won. It is what it is, and that's cool. That's okay to say, yo. You know what? Like you said, they didn't leave anything unwanted, right? Like, damn, but why they didn't? No, he left it in the ring. And that I could respect. Like, yo, you know what? You did what you can. He's just a better fighter. Salute to you. You live to see another day, and we'll see what it is. X. Actually, X is out there in Vegas.
oh
Him and
wow,
Uno, they out there live. Good
is
fight tonight. Benny is nice. Yeah, yeah, man. Benny is Benny.
that body work is
Body
the
work.
I ever seen. He blocks a lot of punches with his arms. Uh,
Hmm.
and right here, Philly of the Detroit Boxing, last comment of the night says, and hopefully nobody picks against my guy no more. In a way, the best in the world, only he doing that shit to my guy. So he's talking about,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gio, that's Gio.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
like,
Listen, at
but
126, there's some interesting fights. But if Fulton is gonna, if that's the Fulton we're gonna get moving forward, man, he's gonna be very, very tough to beat, man. I'm telling you. Because again, he could go on fight mode. Again, we know he's not a puncher. But if he has to, they saying, when an emergency happens, fight or flight. He'll fight, man. He ain't going to fight. So it's good, man. And you know what, man? Fulton deserved that. He a humble fighter. I'm big on them. I'm big on the humble fighters. Gio, I know you're gonna be. I always tell you, I like Philly. Like I said, to me, it's the best fight city of all time. Fighter wise, history, you add the Rocky to that, like that shit matters, bro. People can say what they want about Sylvester Stallone. He played an integral part into boxing, bro. He made a lot of people want to be boxers. Come on, stop it. Fuck
salute.
out of here. You watching boxing like, yo, oh shit, I want to be Rocky. So, and where's
Plus,
his statue at? In Philly.
plus,
His statue's in Philly.
plus, another thing is with him that you gotta respect your elders, dog. And you know what? I know he looks great, but he's 78 years old. He's almost 80 years old. He been around, bro. So when he talks, listen. He know what he talking about. You know what I'm saying? So on that note, Devin Haney, shut the fuck up. And we out of here, man. We'll catch you
Yeah.
on the next
One.